I'm gonna show you the just easy process on how to gut a deer. So this one right here, you're gonna open it up. You're gonna spread it open. You're just gonna grab right down here. You're just gonna cut that off, so you get that open area right down here. Man, this thing's shedding bad. Normally they don't shed this bad. I like to open it up right down like that. And so you see some people, they'll put their knife down in there. You don't want to do that because the guts are right there up against the wall. So what I like to do is just take my time, and as you can see, the gut's already popping out right there. Put your fingers up in it. Your fingers you're going to use as a guide. So you can see this, there's a line right here. You're going to see it in the intestines. Use your fingers as a guide. Put your knife right in between your fingers. And you want a sharp knife. Sharp knife does good because a lot of times you'll hear people say a dull knife is what cuts you. That's very true. A dull knife is going to cut you because it's not sharp enough. You just take that sharp knife, go right up the middle there, and then you're going to get to the rib cage right there. Once you get to that cage, right at the sternum, grab your knife real hard and just yank up, straight up this way right here, and it's going to split it. It's going to be a lot easier to get those guts and the heart and everything out. So just like this. See? There. Split right there. You just keep going up. So now you got it open. Now you got the diaphragm right there. You just go down into that diaphragm. Now I'm taking my time. I'm going real slow. I'm gonna let gravity do all the work. I'm gonna lean it down. I don't know. Can you see down? You're just gonna reach up in him and pull that stuff out. Reach up in there, and you're just gonna cut with your knife. You ain't gonna hit the stomach up there. You don't want to hit the stomach because you don't want the guts and everything coming out and getting on your meat and stuff. So you just continue to cut. There's the tail gut right there. Now you got gravity doing everything. Now you gotta cut the other side of the diaphragm, and now it's just gonna fall out. Grab what else. So then you just open her up, look up in there. You got all that blood and stuff. What I like to do, slice it open a little bit more, split it open. Now you're gonna see right here, that's the bladder. That's what you'll hear people call it, the pee bag. Don't take that out with your knife because you don't want to bust it. If it gets on the meat, it does not make the meat taste good. It'll run it. So what I'm gonna do, what I like to do, I'm big enough so I can do it, but sometimes you need two people to do it. I can do it by myself. What I like to do is grab here by the ears, grab the tail, and I pick it up and I just dump it out. Give it a shake a little bit and get all that other stuff out. And then the rest of it, I'm going to show you here in a second. Once we get back to the house and get it all hung up, I'll show you how to take the tail gut out. But usually the tail gut, I'm just showing you a way, but I like to take the tail gut out once I've got it home, because you can use a saw. I use a Sawzall. It's just easier. Work easy, not hard. So, but we'll get it out. We're going to drag it out. You could see just barely the truck is all the way down there, so we got ourselves a drag. Just hunting's not all about hunting. There's a lot more work to hunting than just going and shooting yourself a deer. So stay tuned. We're gonna get this thing out here. All right guys, so now we got it up. As I was telling you earlier, you have that bladder right there. So what I'm going to do, what I like to do, and I'm just telling you, this is a way, this is not the way, or anything like that. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to skin these legs, skin that leg, and then I'll take the bladder out close towards the end. So the way that I do a deer is the best thing to do, and I think everyone that, all of y'all that are watching this that hunt out there, skin a deer while it's warm. It's so much easier. So I just take my knife, put it underneath that skin. You can see it, it's right up underneath there. And then just come up right like that. Now I try not to get any hair on it, because that hair, a lot of people are like, I ate deer one time and it was so gamey, I just didn't like it. I couldn't. One, the deer was probably processed wrong. Two, it probably had some hair on it. But a lot of times when you got a warm deer like this, we'll go to this side, you almost don't need a knife. See, I can just put my hand right up in there and just work it back and forth as I break my light. And it just peels right there. And I can bring my hand around right to that, and I should be able to punch through. Well, of course now it's making me out to be a liar. There. So I can punch my finger out and go straight up right like that and skin that thing out. And once I get it out like that, that's when I use my knife. And I come right in, bring it right through there, come up, and boom. Now I've got that side, peel this back. This is a fatty deer. Had a lot of fat to it, that's good. Means a lot for him to eat in the woods. Alright, now I'll show you here in a second what I'm doing there. I know like you can't really see it by the camera, but this side I'm going to go in, do the exact same thing. This one actually got a tick on it right there on its leg as I went right by it. So I like to go down all the way to that leg. It really helps out. Now with my arm being right there, if you're doing it, be careful. Do not cut yourself, because a sharp knife, it'll cut you. But like I always say, you want a sharp knife, because a dull knife, you're fighting it. And once you're fighting it, then all of a sudden you cut yourself because you're fighting the knife. Where if you got a sharp knife, it does all the work for you. You don't have to sit there and fight it. Come up, and that falls right down there. And see, when it's warm, you can just peel that thing down. Here, yeah. So that just peels down, pulls right down like that. So you got the tail right here. So the anus and also the tailbone is right there. So once you get down to that, I mean, you can feel it, you can see it. There's a little bit of a, I won't say it, but for the viewers, yeah, you see all the nastiness right there. You just gotta find that tail joint, and it cuts right through it. And then what I like to do is use my knife just a little bit to cut right down to that. And then because the deer's warm, you get right down to that waist right there. And with that deer being warm, all you gotta do, you can actually, I see a lot of people grab the tail, but I grab on the side, give it a good grip, and it goes all the way down. Now, you got this like side stripping, right, or not stripping, but the side meat that's right there, you just cut that away. Here while I'm in the house barking. All right, and then, so now you got that worked away from that rib meat that's right there. You can go right back down again. and just pull. Wow, look at that shot. Ben put a good shot on that. You grab it, keep pulling down, it goes right down. Grab this side, pull down. You just keep working around it until you get to that front shoulder. Then you're actually gonna have to, you'll have to use your knife a little bit. What I like to do, get this around that. So you got that hair right in the front of its chest right there. Now this is like for a deer that you're not getting mounted. If you're mounting a deer, taxidermists, whenever they cape a deer, they want you to stop about right there, because then they can use all that hide. They don't have to sew it back together. That's less work for them. And your bill's not going to be as much whenever you get your deer head back. This, just old antlerless deer, you're not getting it mounted or anything like that unless it's for a kid or first deer or whatever. But once you get down here a little bit, it starts getting a little bit slick because of that membrane and stuff on there. But you just try to work around and get to around the front of that shoulder. And I just work it and work it. There we go. And now I've kind of broke free to where I can feel my finger. I may need to take my knife. There we go. Poke it through with my thumb. And then I just use my weight. I'm a big guy, so I can just use it, push down and hold, and roll that front shoulder right down there. Now I'm gonna do the same thing, only this time, I mean, I'm not gonna show y'all and go through it. I'm not gonna make you sit there and watch it, but like I did right there, just go through. You may need to trim it up just a little bit, right like that. And now I'm gonna do the exact same thing on this shoulder. So once we get by it, I'll show y'all real quick. You can see I've got that down. A lot of people want to like cut the hide and stuff off of there, like just cut the hair. If it's just a doe like this one, or just something antlerless that you're not getting mounted, you don't need to do that. You don't have to worry. You can if you want, but with this one, I mean, I'm just cutting it down a little bit more, but I've got that hair almost down to its neck. So it makes it a lot easier if this is where you want to cut off the front legs right there. You just cut down all the way to that bone. Now I'm gonna show you two ways you can do this. You can use a handsaw, which I'm gonna show you using a handsaw. There's nothing wrong with it. I grew up my whole life using a handsaw. Just takes a little bit longer, but not a ton. But you got to have a lot more room because you're doing that movement. You're sawing, and then you can just use the sawzall. Goes right through, boom, done. And that's what I prefer to do. Just work smart, not hard. And so now that you got those down, you got these shoulders here, and I'm on my knees, but I'm gonna turn this around so you can see it on camera. And I'm just gonna grab this hide, pull down to the neck right there. Now, some people eat the neck roast. I'm not gonna be saving this neck roast or anything like that. So I'm just gonna pull down to about right there, right down to its neck. Next, take my knife. You're just gonna cut through that meat, cut all the way around. You're gonna have to cut through its windpipe on the front, so you might get like you're feeling like you're cutting a little bit of rubber, but that's just the windpipe. Now that I've cut all the way around to that bone, I mean, I can fit my 2 fingers around like that. Take my old sawzall, go right there, use the weight of the deer, push up on it a little bit, boom, right through it. So, as you can see, Ben put a good shot on it. That right there, we can actually salvage some of this meat. I'm gonna grind it into burger, but that is what a 6.5 Creedmoor will do. Right there's the entrance wound, and that's the exit wound. And if you look inside here, there's that. So I was telling you earlier about getting the tail gut out. So I just go ahead and skin it out. And to get the tail gut out, all I do is, you can see I've cut all the way down with my knife. And I'll show you again. You just cut all the way down until you can hear that. That's just bone right there. And this is the tail gut, and this is what the pea bag and everything that you want to call it, the bladder. But I just go down, keep it at an angle. I keep it pointed away from that. I don't have it pointed. I have the blade always pointed out going this way. So I'm going to do the same thing on this side. And it's okay to take your time. I'm taking my time with it because I do not want to hit that and bust that. And for me, some people like to pull it this way. I actually like to grab it down in there, and I stay underneath that. Well, if it's going to come out, I may have to go the other way. But there we go. So I'm pulling it out. For those of y'all who have a weak stomach, I wouldn't watch this. And that's your tail gut. So this right here, you do not want to let this, leave this laying around. I've had dogs, hunting dogs especially, you're letting them run around and stuff like that. They get into it, it will put them, it'll make them, the term sick as a dog, it will make them sick as a dog because you think your dog is dying. That is, I mean, you gotta think, that's the waste of this deer. That nothing should be eating it. Everything's exiting. But that's the pretty much way of skinning it and everything. Now, next process I'm gonna go through with you is taking the tenderloins out. All right, so the next, what I like to do, when it's cold, we have a chilly day like today. It's not freezing cold, but I like to let my deer hang because I process it myself. So it makes it, see how it's just like real jelly and wobbly? Whenever you process a deer that's a little bit colder, it's like firm and stiff, and it's so much easier to work up with a knife and just easy. But to cool it down a little bit, what I like to do is right here, some people call them back straps, some people call them tenderloins. I don't think any of it's wrong, really. But you got that tenderloin that runs right along the spine right there. I call it a tenderloin. If I'm wrong, I'm sorry to your standards. But it's all the same. The delicious part of the deer. So I cut along right there. And then right there you got the spine. Get as close to that spine with your knife as you can. I'm pushing over against the spine. And I'm coming right down the edge. Right like that. Now, if you get that stripping out of the way, you can see that I could put my finger right down near the spine and it almost comes right off of it. Also, taking tenderloins or back straps out of a deer when it's warm is so much easier. So what I do is I get it to where I can just grab that piece of meat and cut that excess off. It's not the tenderloin. And then literally going down with this thing, and it's so much easier. Now I'm using my knife. You can actually, when it's really warm on a deer, this one's cooled down just enough to where you can't, but you can actually grab that tenderloin and just pull it right down and it'll come right off there. So I'm gonna show you this one, just going down right along there. And what I like to do, just take my knife and almost work it like a circle. Like just goes down, turn it. And so once you get down to like this rib cage part right here, because right here is not the rib cage. Once you get there, you're gonna have to cut it and separate it from that rib cage. Because you gotta remember, it's a muscle. It's an anatomy. I'll be fancy and say the kinesiology of the deer, like everything is one moving part, and so everything's attached. You can just go down. As you can see those rib bones where they start right going all the way to the spine. And so you can see it goes right down into this neck. You want to try, or at least me, it's the way I grew up. I don't like to waste food. There's a lot of hungry people out there, and so I try to harvest everything I can on the deer. And so I go down in there, cuts right out, comes right out, and you got your back strap or your tenderloin. This is like the New York strip. This is the good stuff. You just cut that stripping off when you cook it, cut it in slices like that, and then cut those slices off of that. This is called stripping. That's what holds the muscles together. That's like the muscle skin. You cut it off of that stripping and then put it in like seasoned flour and fry it. It is amazing. It is so good. So we'll do it to the other one, and you'll see the final process, and I'll tell you the rest of it once we get this one out. So the last part, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna let this hang. So this is gonna hang. I'll show y'all at a later video how to quarter it up and everything. Don't worry, don't stress. You'll get to see it. But this is what we call the sweet meat, possibly tenderloin. This is, if you were looking at a beef, this right here would be the filet mignon. Like, it is absolutely amazing and wonderful. So it almost just peels right from the bone. As you can see, I mean, I just took my fingers and just pulled that right from it. So I come right up here, and as you can see, it just pulled right off. Come right in there and come straight down, and just use my knife to continue going down with it. You got that. It's not big, but man, I use it to make fajitas. Like, it takes whatever seasoning or sauce or whatever you use, it takes the flavor of it, and it's just absolutely incredible. It's not a lot of meat, but man, it is just so good. But a lot of times that's what I'll use as my fajitas, because I use deer meat for a lot of stuff, because one, it's healthy, it's not fatty. Two, it's provided by nature. And there's something about harvesting your own animal and cooking it, fixing it, and everything. It's just so much more rewarding. So I'm going to trim off this a little bit, but all in all, we're finished with this. I'm probably going to let this hang for a couple days, I would say, and then I'll show you the rest of the way on how to cut it up. But you can see this deer, there's a lot in the woods for him to eat. This deer had a lot of fat right there. If I turn it around here, you can see all that fat here on the butt. And I mean, it was not as a lot of people around here say, a corn-fed deer. This was an acorn deer. And so, yeah, but thank y'all. I appreciate all the support. Like, subscribe if you haven't already. Shoot me a comment. Shoot things you want to see. If you want to see something, let me know. I'm trying to get as much variety out there to y'all, because y'all's opinion, that's what's important to me. And that's what I want to get out to y'all, because y'all support me, and I care so much about y'all to get what you want to see. So until next time, thank you. I appreciate it. I'm Andy Bean with Beaner Outdoors. Get out there.